Hi, welcome from my hood to your hood. Today we'll be learning the recipe of enchilada pie, how it's been passed down from mother to daughter and now grandkids, the stories behind it and what it means to them now. I'm your host, Guy Shane. Welcome from my hood to your hood. So welcome from my hood to your hood. We're in my Aunt Dina's kitchen. We're learning enchilada pie. Today we're with my cousin Tammy, her son Daryl, and her daughter Maria is walking around. You'll see her around. She'll be helping us up, fix up the tables, and get everything ready for the dinner. So we're starting off with enchilada pie. What's the first thing we do when we get everything going? Is it browning up the meat or is it crushing up the Doritos?
Browning the meat.
Browning the meat?
Definitely browning the meat.
And besides that, with the seasonings, what seasonings go in there?
Yeah, season that, Daryl.
But what is the seasonings that you put in?
Type of seasonings that we put into this, while you're browning the meat, we actually add a little bit of, the hood's, favorite Lowry's. It's one of the most popular seasonings here. So you just season it up. Yeah, you don't want to put too much in there, You have high sodium issues. Or
So with this recipe, I mean, I've known it for years. With you, Tammy, when was the first time you actually remember having this recipe? Like, when was the first time that you can?
I was pretty young. I was probably maybe 7 or 8 when I first actually remember it.
Oh,
And
really?
it being one of my favorites and starting to ask to have it more often.
Okay.
I really, yeah. It's
So
one of
you
my
run-
favorite meals my mom made.
Really? Were you around the same age, Daryl, that you remember when you had this recipe, or were you a little bit older?
When I first had this recipe, it was already well off into my family, and I've been eating this since I was a kid. So what I remember about it is a lot.
You turn it over,
Yeah.
flip the meat a little bit. That's how you brown it a little
So-
bit better. There you go.
Food always brings our families together and loved ones together.
Yeah, because I
always
know
remember-
with your Oma and your
Yeah.
mom, all the fun family parties we here. You know what I mean? Most of them Easters and everything else. And now that she's going through Alzheimer's and everything, have you guys thought about what this recipe means now that when you're handing it down, you're showing him how to cook this, and now when Nasir gets older,
Right,
and
the
everybody
fourth
gets older,
generation will definitely get it.
What are the stories behind that? Like you would tell them, where did it come from? What do you remember from this one?
Well, my mom is known as Oma to all the children.
Yeah.
So that's how they know her. So it's Oma's recipe. And she has several different ones, but this, again, like I said, is one of our favorites.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I like it the best is it's quick and it's easy.
Yeah.
And some of the secret ingredients over there in the bags are what makes it extra
Is what makes
tasty.
it good, right? and with that, like I said, so you're gonna be passing it down. What is one of the stories that you remember from this as a kid growing up? Because I remember overhearing you something about the onion powder that you
Oh yes, my dad hates onions, so whenever he's around, we can't put the onion powder, onions of any sort, in anything.
Nothing in there.
I
And
personally
can you
don't
really
like
catch
onions really, but I like the onion flavoring.
Onion flavor in it.
Yes,
Okay.
but with him, no, none at all.
And with you though, now Sears, how old is he now?
My son is 7 years old now.
So in a couple of years, he's gonna be learning to cook, 4 or 5 years, whatever. And when this might be one of the recipes he teaches. So when he's asking where did this come from? Are you gonna tell him well, I learned it from my mom, but then it comes from your Oma? You know what I mean? What's the story you're gonna tell him about that?
Oh yeah, well I'm definitely gonna have to pass this down to my generation, and I definitely want to keep this in the family, because with my grandmother having the symptoms that she's having with her disease and everything, it was a really sad day when she finally decided, it's not really time for her to be cooking anymore, and she, had to put the car away and put her license away too. So when it comes to that, it's nice to know that I can actually learn how to actually cook this with this recipe and pass it on to my children, so they can pass it on to their children. Kind of keep it living in the family.
And it keeps her story. I mean, she's with us. I mean, no one wants to ever think about that day, but when she's not, at least she lives on through that cooking
definitely.
and through all
We
that.
definitely miss her cooking, and she could make a meal in 20, 30 minutes snap.
Right.
I don't know how she does it. I still have never been able to duplicate that or replicate that at all.
Right.
you show up at her house and the first thing she does is always bring food to the table for you. And again, she could throw a 3-course meal together in 30 minutes, and I never knew how she did it. Bacon, eggs, whatever, potatoes, enchilada pie. It always takes me an hour and a half.
And you, Maria, since you walked in, what do you remember about this recipe? When was the first time that you can kind of remember when you had this? If you want, just come in. Just go ahead, come on in. Don't be shy over here. This is my cousin Maria right here.
It's my daughter.
So what do you remember from this recipe? Like, what is it, the first time that you had it? Was it from your mom making it, or was it through your oma making it?
Probably through my mom, mostly. And they would tell me to get the enchilada sauce when I knew how to drive.
Oh, really? Yeah. Did you know which enchilada sauce to get?
No.
No?
You don't remember it from Sunday?
You go to Milberto's?
Yeah. And I have a big thing of enchilada sauce.
And you know, I remember when I was a kid, I was actually one of those kids that dinner time I could eat a bag of chips and I would be good for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
When I found out that this recipe was made with Doritos in it, I was like,
It was a recipe to go
that's
to,
a win-win
right?
for a little kid, you know what I mean? So,
And,
yeah, a lot of great memories.
and with you now, with your daughter, have you learned this recipe yet?
No.
Have you wanted to learn this recipe? Like, do you plan on learning it?
Yeah, I plan on learning it, but I'll let her keep doing it
Until-
until she's old.
Well, when are you gonna learn? Like, when are you gonna decide to be like, look, I'm gonna learn this recipe? Because you're a great baker. You know what I mean? And when are you gonna learn to step in and make this enchilada pie? Because it is that simple and it's good. Like you said, it takes 30 minutes maybe with the browning and everything else.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Real
great
quick,
meal.
simple meal, especially if you want to feed a big family real
Yeah.
quick.
Unless you're somebody who just keeps squishing it.
Yeah, if you want to flip it,
flipping
man, come, you may have to show them, Maria.
I know.
It's like,
know,
You gotta
keep
flip
just
it.
breaking
You gotta
it
flip
apart.
it, son. Flip it.
Hey guys, this is my first time cooking.
You should know how to brown meat, man.
So you guys are seeing the first. You guys are seeing the first time cooking here, learning the actual recipe passed down from his oma to his mom to him now. Now he's learning. This is kind of what food is about right here. It's taught down through generations. There's always stories behind it, which I like.
There's Maria Boston, her older brother.
You see
around
that?
as usual.
Yeah, as usual. Yeah. So once we get the brown meat, we got the garlic salt. This is Stepson right here. That's cool. Your phone's ringing. So with this right here, so that's all right. So after we burn the meat and everything, we're gonna get the Doritos, right?
So you
This
like
is not
enchilada
Sears
pie?
right here. This is Daryl's little boy.
This is my son right here.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the next
That's the
generation to
fourth
cook some
generation
enchilada
right
pie
there.
right
It's
here.
gonna be definitely.
This is my
passed down.
stepson right here, Kyrie.
Yeah.
Instead, we both can play this game.
So once we brown the meat, your mom came in here.
Let's step out the room, please.
Tell me when your mom came in here. So you don't actually crumble them up in the bag. You actually throw them in the pot
Yes.
or in the dish right there.
Yep. You put it in the dish. You just kind of smush them down a little bit to make them a little bit.
Since it looks like
flat.
it's getting ready, do we kind of want to start that?
Yeah,
way
we can start. I
get it
can
moving.
start doing that part of it. Definitely. It's kind of a layered effect.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of put some chips in here. You just need a little bit of a layer. And you don't really want to smash them too much.
You want me to turn the
Just
oven
a
on?
little bit. Oh yeah, can you, Maria?
See,
350, please.
Maria's the level head of the family.
I know, huh? She's the one that always kept us in
Sitting
check,
there
that's
for
for
a
sure. Daryl and I are kind of the goof offs.
No. So with this, like I asked before, the recipe, did you ask for it, or did you just sit and watch your mom cook?
You know, I sat and watched her one night, and kind of helped her a little bit.
Yeah.
But she was so quick, like I said, she throws the meals together so quickly.
Right.
But I sat and I watched her one night, and it's amazing how, like I said, easy
Right.
it was. When she would bring it out, I thought that it was this masterpiece, and then I saw how simple it really was, and I was like, what? I could do that.
And what was it about this dish that you wanted to learn? Was it because it was
The flavor of it, I thought it was interesting that she came up with using the Doritos on her own rather than using just the regular tortillas
Right.
that you would buy at a store. It just gives it a little bit more of an interesting flavor and texture too, because you just cook it just enough to where the chips don't get real soggy
It's not
like
too
most
soggy.
enchilada pies are. It's more of a crispy, crunchier enchilada pie.
And when you were sitting there, you were watching it. Were you guys talking about anything? Or were you just talking about the recipe?
I was just kind of sitting in here at the table, which I do a lot when I was growing up. Would just sit at this table and talk to her while she cooked.
Oh, okay.
So I would just observe most of the
How old
time.
were you at that time? Do you remember?
I was probably a teenager.
Not trying to give up your age. Or
I know, right? Well, I think when they see my big old kids, they know I'm old.
Well, you started young.
Daryl, you can start putting the hamburger meat on top of that. You just
Okay,
scoop
great.
it up and just kind of dribble it on. A little
Okay.
bit of juice
Just
is
kind of
good.
just kind of drain it, but
Yeah,
put
drain it a
of
little
that
bit
grease
and just
in
kind of shake a small layer because we're gonna get at least another layer.
there. Okay.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, I was probably about 13 or 14 when I
really?
started kind of
That's how
sitting
young?
and getting a little more curious
Okay.
on her meals and stuff, and
Yeah.
sitting in here watching her make them.
Okay.
I was older though,
You were-
because when I was younger, I was out running
Yeah,
around,
running around and
playing and
everything else.
stuff. Yeah. So
So what do you think about it, Daryl? I mean, it's your first time cooking it and everything. It's something,
Yeah.
again, it's been passed down from your Oma all the way through.
You know what? Yeah. I mean,
just get a little bit more up here,
From
just a
a-
little bit more.
from eating this from being a kid and actually having it made for you every single time,
Right.
Yeah.
and actually cooking it yourself right now, it actually makes you appreciate it a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Cheese is a good part.
yeah, the cheese. You gotta have the cheese. Gotta have the Gouda, man. So, but yeah, just to cook it and learn the actual recipe and know how exactly it's made instead of just googling something real quick.
Right.
You know, this is a recipe that you can't Google.
Yeah.
This is something that is brought up in a family.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great to know how to cook it.
And you have to learn it because my
Right.
mom doesn't have recipes. She never cooked with recipes.
Yeah. She.
It was her own creations or things she learned from like her mother. Now this particular
Don't
one
throw
was
that
not.
back in the pot.
No.
That was 5 second rule.
Yeah, right. They got 5-second rule there. So we're layering it again here.
We're gonna do another
so
layer.
we did the Doritos, and then we did the meat and the cheese, and then we're doing another layer of Doritos.
Yes, real
Yeah.
quick,
Okay.
simple, easy
There you
family
go.
meal.
Okay. Really good.
Another layer of meat there.
And then with this, you said you usually have what? What do you said just a salad?
A salad and some corn.
Okay. And then as far as your guys' family dinners, how often did you guys get together?
Oh, we used to get together every Sunday for years when they were little, up until even after the kids were grown and out of the house. And then at one point in time, we had to.
When I was in high school, it turned into Wednesdays.
Oh, was that still in high school? I forgot that it happened that soon.
Oh, really? And then
And that was because the boys couldn't make it, right?
has it slowed
Yeah,
down?
just schedules
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Family gets busy, and that's why food is so important when it comes to family.
Yeah.
Because it brings us all together again.
Yeah.
Especially when schedules change and people get kind of lost in their own lives, you know what I mean?
The Wednesday dinner slowed down when she was diagnosed with
Oh, really?
Alzheimer's.
Is that when
Or
it slowed
the
down?
colon cancer?
Yeah. Oh, the colon cancer?
Yeah.
That was even before the Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah, it was
Right.
about a year before the
I think that
Alzheimer's.
colon cancer might have even brought the Alzheimer's on a
Oh,
little bit
that's what
quicker.
she kind of said. I remember
Yeah,
that.
it's definitely
And then
been
it's very
better.
common that something traumatic like that will, because she was bound to have Alzheimer's eventually anyways, with the genes that she carries
Right.
and the type of Alzheimer's she has, it was a guarantee. It was just a matter of when. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of
And with that, with
progressed
the
a little quicker.
and with slowing down on the family dinners and all that, have you guys tried to make it just with your personal family to try to sit down and have meals?
We haven't really. It kind of is a bummer.
Well,
Yeah.
we meet on Wednesdays, me
Yeah,
and my
that's
mom.
true. Maria
Yeah.
does come over on Wednesdays. Daryl works later into the evenings and stuff, and the schedule's a little harder now to get us all together. But yeah, Maria and Zaria, my granddaughter, come over on Wednesdays for dinner.
So little things like this, teaching them how to cook right now is kind of a cool
Yeah,
thing. You know?
definitely.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then you coming in too, you know, just being shy with it. But you are, again, a great
nice to
baker
s-
just to learn to finally sit down with family and be back at it.
Yeah, definitely miss it.
It's nice to spend good quality time with your family. And food always brings us together, and
And
to
it,
cook a recipe that got passed down.
yeah, and then
it's
just to
great.
slow it down just a little bit so you guys can sit back and get back reacquainted with each other.
Yeah.
Right,
That's-
right.
And I
Yeah,
think
we
that's
still
why
get
you guys
together for
always.
some things, just not like we used to every week.
And what started the family meals, like the way you guys started
The
it on
Sunday one?
Yeah.
My mom wanted to get rid of us.
Is that what it was?
Don't throw me out like
Even on
that,
Mondays.
Yeah, she's like, okay.
She was done.
That was it. My parents, I came for Sunday dinner with the kids.
Yeah, what he does, the frames and everything else.
You You know what?
Maybe
I think
still
we could
get together
definitely get
every
back
now and
into it.
Yeah, it might be a good idea, huh?
Yeah, I think we could definitely. We try to meet up, but you know, with schedules and everything, you know, it does get hard at times because we all have our own lives. And
Right.
but this actually does kind of bring it to light that maybe we haven't been spending enough time, and it's nice to, like you said, get back reacquainted and spend some good quality time
And
with your loved ones.
out right there, right. And that's my Uncle Alan right there. If you guys want to say hi to him, that's my Uncle Alan.
Everybody does. You know
Yeah,
that.
he's the one that doesn't like the onions or onion powder in his meals.
Right.
I inherited that from my grandfather who said, even a hog won't eat an onion, you know.
Yeah.
He was a little prejudiced against that.
And then with this, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna put it in the oven just like this, or do we
Just
cover
like
it?
that.
Just like that.
Oh, wait, we forgot about the most important ingredient.
A layer more cheese.
One more little layer of cheese on the top.
Okay.
So
Don't show
that
this
that's
on the
the,
cheese.
Yeah.
yeah, you never have to be shy with the cheese, that's for sure.
And while we're doing this, once we put it in the oven, it's gonna go for about how long?
15 minutes.
15 minutes? Sounds
Yeah,
good.
it just needs to heat up. You still want the chips to be kind of crunchy, so you don't want to put it in too long.
Okay. And then with that, I'm gonna let you know we're gonna put this in the oven, then we'll go set the table, then we'll come back and we'll be ready to eat. So it's been 15 minutes already. It's time to pull out the enchilada pie. They've been battling who's gonna pull it out, but we were like, let mom do it. So mom's gonna pull it out.
Yes.
Let's go. So, I'll let you pull it out.
There it is.
Wow.
Nice.
There it is. That's,
All right, somebody want to close the door
Yeah, that's
for
family
me?
history right there passed on.
And I don't know about all families, but you know, any typical family, everybody has their spot at
Yes.
the table. And I've always sat right here. This is always my
No,
spot.
that was my spot growing up.
So you know that this is my spot now.
And then, and then where's your dad's spot?
He's over here,
He's over here.
and my mom usually sits here,
Sits here.
and Maria sat here. This was my spot, and then Daryl took it, and then when Maria came along, he moved to here. So I've just been kind of shuffled.
I'm gonna shuffle along.
So now I just grab where I can.
Nice.
It's usually in this vicinity, though.
That sounds good. Well, I appreciate you joining us. We're gonna sit down and eat and enjoy this meal. We'll see you next time. Go for it.
You know, start a good meal with my family here because I know we've been really excited about this, and I've been waiting for this all night.
Hey, Maria, can you bring a? Oh, you got it. All right.
So as you can see, it just kind of opens up, kind of like a lasagna almost. And boom, there's served. Here's the one. Just pass my plates now. Kind of has like a lasagna effect, like I said.
Can
Just a
you make
bunch of
the
layers.
smaller piece, please? There you go.
I'm
You're
sorry about that.
Is it too big for you, Dad?
No, that's fine.
And Oma will want a smaller piece.
Okay.
Tammy, where do you want Diddy?
She usually sits over here.
Okay.
By my dad. You want to put her over there by you, Dad?
Wants a chair from 1896, these chairs.
You sit over there, Mommy. Dad, can you switch up the
Oh.
Maybe we should.
I'm gonna put you there and her there.
You're over here today. Sweetheart.
Can't you smell the can't you smell the small one?
Maria, you wanna get, is Maria in there?
Yeah, she's coming around.
Can you get little plates for the babies?
Is that real juicy? All the flavor built up on the bottom right there.
Yeah, probably. Too much.
You won't breathe. You broke your.
Doing a little bit of corn. Mommy, do you want any salad? No. No?
I'm gonna have salad.
Do you want a bowl or just a
No, I'm gonna put it here.
Oh, so pepper shakers.
You want one or you want whole avocado?
There's your guys' side. There's the boys' mushroom.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy our time together. I hope you remember it's the recipe that makes the food good, but it's the stories and memories that make it great. I'm Guy Shane, from my hood to your hood.